Hey guys, today I finally decided to answer on some of my most frequently asked questions in DMs, usually accompanied with the heartbreaking drama story, which is when should we know and how can we identify that we have to sell during an extremely ascending bullish market. It is actually hard to identify this spot, reversal spot, because because of all of that fuss and noise, up only claims, and of course the main reason why people don't sell even when they understand that they have to, that market is going wrong, is it is overbought. It is that we all are afraid that if we sell, the market continues to go up without us. And this is a reasonable fear. I've been there, but I mastered my strategy and my adherence to my rules, and they brought me some benefits and profits to identify when the market reverses. I use technical tools, simple technical tools that everybody can use and apply. So before we start with it, we should focus on what can help us understand that the reversal is coming. Of course, we will mainly focus on the technical factor, but we have to mention a few words about the fundamental part. Mainly, when you hear that the market is in up only mode, when you see that every junk, every bullshit coin starts pumping to the moon, that doesn't that is not worth a penny and has nothing behind it, and you see that the traditional media start talking about crypto, not only talking, because talking can be a tool to accelerate the market. When you see that the traditional media and TV channels start advertising, shilling those coins like it was with Dogecoin, Shiba token, and others, when you see that TV hosts and influencers on the TV channels start talking and predicting that Bitcoin is going to $1 million inevitably, and it goes to $140,000 until this year, guaranteed. That is when you have to become suspicious and be ready to dump. Also, when you see that during an extremely ascending one-sided market, you see that top centralized exchanges start offering very beneficial interest rates on their staking and earn programs. This has to be the sign for you, because they cannot allow you to win even more than you won already. They will suffer losses, and they will never suffer losses for too long. You have to keep that in mind. So this is the fundamental part. Let's switch to the technical part. To understand that the market is going to reverse soon, we have to adhere or use three simple tools, technical tools, and one condition to apply. And the best part of it is that this one condition is also the part of these three tools. So let's start with this condition and the first tool. The market is going to reverse when we see that the parabolic formation has gone to its ultimate level. How do we identify it? We either have one big green, immense green candle on a high time frame, like daily, weekly, or monthly, or we have a set of candles, green candles, that which is one of which is higher than the previous one, that form a fully perpendicular 90 degrees vertical formation. Let's look at it and let's look at it visually. First of all, let's look at Bitcoin and identify what a parabolic formation is. First of all, parabolic starts with some accumulation, usually of the previous cycle, and this accumulation, it holds some global genuine trend line. As you see, this green line is a genuine trend line. Then it can be more diagonal or horizontal, but it differs from asset to asset. We look at Bitcoin right now. So it holds this line, but then it takes off from it. And we have in this takeoff happens in the form of parabolic rounding. After that, we are having a push up and acceleration, and we end up with the climax, which usually either ends up with a huge green candle at the top of the chart, or in the series of candles, green candles, big green candles. So we always have to dump on these climaxes. How to identify that the bullish parabolic formation has reached its ultimate level? For example, we have to look at our highest time frames. Let's start with the daily and look at Bitcoin. You see, now we look at Bitcoin, but we don't have understanding. Let's imagine that we don't have this traded area. We have only somewhere here and here. And we look at it and we cannot say that it is went completely parabolic and reached its climax, because we don't have a single giant green candle there at the top, and our formation, it is not fully perpendicular. As if we draw the line, it is leaning over. It means that it has some room to grow higher. So we are not sure here. We cannot, looking at this daily chart, say that we are going to reverse soon, because we have some space to go higher. But if we switch at the weekly chart, we can see that it goes more parabolic here, looks more parabolic, and it already looks better, closer to the parabolic formation, to the climax formation. See, it already is closer to the perpendicular form to 88-90 degrees. Yes, but it still has some room, and we are not sure. Then we switch to the monthly, and this is where I understood that we went to the parabolic formation climax, because here we can see that this formation of this set of candles, it went completely parabolic, almost 90 degrees. See, it looks like this, straight, like a single candle that you can see at some assets, and we will look at them. See, that was the sign for me that we are almost over. Of course, 60,000 area was the distribution area, and we could make some up and downs here, but it was worth telling and understanding that we are going to reverse here, even though I had some indicators that tell me that we can go higher. This indicator showed me everything I had to know, that we reached the ultimate level of parabolic formation with the climax. So let's look at other example. Here we didn't have a single giant green candle to identify it. We had to switch through our time frames and figure it out on our own. But let's look, for example, at Wink. I don't know if you know this asset. It is a bullshit asset because it went high. It went fully parabolic with the climax during the beginning of 2021. If you remember, when Ethereum got screwed up and was criticized highly for its transactions and fees, people start talking about the Binance Smart Chain and how it is beneficial and not expensive at all. So people started pumping all the BSC related coins, and Wink was one of them, especially when they announced that they are going to switch to the Binance Smart Chain, and they went extremely parabolic. What you can see here, we can see our rules that you see we had a fully perpendicular great candle, green candle on the weekly time frame. So when you see that, if for example you were buying here in this zone, or even here, it was 4,000 here, it is 24, 22, 23 here. For example, if you see a candle like this, holding like this and closing like this, you have to always sell, always. But you'll tell me, wait, but we went even higher, much higher. Not that much, but of course you would feel that gain completely. But at this point, if you aped in lower here in the good spot, at this spot, the reward risk ratio is leaning highly towards the risk, because here the risk when these candles switch, the risk that it goes down is 80-90%, and the probability that it goes up after this is 10-20%, depending on the narrative and other stuff. But the chances that it goes, when it switches to this candle and it goes first high and fools us with a fake out and goes back down to almost our beginning of this move, is 99%. It always goes down after this candle, and you even can see it on such a manipulative and highly promoted asset as Doji. Let's look at it. You see, you would tell me, but look at Doji, it wouldn't stop there, and I would miss a lot of profit. For example, when we had this formation, when Doji first went from here and pumped here, the chart looked like this. This candle was the size of this whole movement, and you would tell me, if I would sell there at the highest point of this candle, weekly candle, I would lose a lot. I would tell you that you wouldn't lose a lot, nothing, because you would take profit here, and if you are a trader, it wouldn't go higher, it would only go lower, and you would have to re-enter either here if you find some signs of re-entry, or at least here when we break this counter trend line retest it, find support, and take off. Here you could re-enter and go for another one. And of course, here I would sell also. And I would be right, because we would have gone back down and I could actually rebuy and go fully here. Of course, I would sell. It is only relying on these parabolic formations and their climaxes. So I think it is understandable. And one more important thing I should mention here. You should know that it doesn't matter how high the market goes. We always come back to our global trend line, genuine trend line. You see, it is a trend line that we hold for a long time, then we take off from it. We take off, it feels like forever, but remember, we always can come back to our genuine global trend line. So if we went here, no matter how high we go, when we see the reversal, for example, candle, the second tool to identify the reversal for us, it is candles on the high time frames, starting with daily, weekly. You know that, you follow my accounts and my channel, and you know that candle mean and tell us a lot about the liquidity availability, about the mood of the market maker and its plans. So even if we, no matter how high we go, we always come back to this line. Of course, it is moving up within the time, but we always come back to it. Look at every asset you have, we always come back to its global trend line. And we come to it, we can test it and hold it as support many times, but during the when the market changes its phase to the descending phase, we usually break that trend line and go lower. But the greatest point of this line, that I call also as the line of point of control, that no matter how deep we go lower, we are always back. When the market reverses, we are always back to that line. And that is why and how we can predict the heights and how high the movement can go during the next bullish super cycle run. It doesn't mean that it is going to stop here and reverse. No, it can mean that, but it can also mean that we break it, hold it, and go. And when the price stops, it reverses, it will always be back to that line. That is why you have to learn how to use that line, build it, and it will always be your best friend, the holy grail that you only need for successful investing or mid-term, long-term trading. So if you need proof, then look at my XRP, I don't know, yes, XRP chart. For your knowledge, I drew this one, I don't remember when. I remember at the end of 2019, when I was obsessed with XRP yet, and I was shilling it to my friends, recommending it to buy it when it was 16-18 cents. I told them that it's going to 35 cents within a year, and it is going higher, at least to this line, and it came to it. This line was drawn at the end of 2019, and we perfectly came and tested it. So of course we went even higher, but here you can see it here clearly how we work with this trend line. See, we reached it, we broke it, but then reversed it and retested it, proved that it is working again, and went lower. As you see, currently we are holding this trend line also, and it holds good. but eventually I think that we will go a little bit lower. Oh, using not the right, sorry. Eventually I think we probably will lose this one and find our bottom here for XRP around 40-50 cents, I think. But I don't know for sure, it is just an addition to my analysis. So we figured out that our first tool and condition has to be the ultimate parabolic formation with the climax, either in a single candle, huge candle, or a set of candles that on any high time frame form a fully perpendicular 90 degrees vertical line. So this is our first tool. The second one is, of course, our candles. You already know that it is easy. If you see some kind of this reversal candle, it is a bailout. You have to sell. If you on top of the market you see some kind of this candle, you have to sell. Of course, on Bitcoin we didn't see such candle then, but we can see them on other altcoins. Let's look at some of the altcoins that I had some stories from people. For example, one guy came to me and he told me that Ren's price action is horrible, why it is so when it is going to $10 and other stuff. I said, why do you think it is bad? Its price action is bad. It is actually very insightful and good for me. And he told me, well, I bought Ren at 7 cents. Look at this. He bought here at the very beginning. He bought Ren here and bought a lot of it. He bought he said that he runs a dark node. Running dark node means that he owns 100,000 Ren, and not only that he owns them, he earns fees and rewards every time everybody uses the Ren network, Ren blockchain. So he used $7,000 to buy 100,000 Ren, earned rewards. Ren went parabolic, went back down, went to the climax, and reached even $1.80. Of course, he wouldn't sell there because everybody would expect more. Maybe not me, but of course, let's look at this. He at least could have sold around 130, 120, but he didn't, and he was frustrated that, look at his approach. He didn't sell when he had the best entry, and he is back to that, almost back to that entry. You see, we had this global genuine counter trend line, and we came back to it. As always, this is the rule. Held it, tested support, took off, get back to it, held as support, tried to chop it, lost it, resecure it, went higher, again supported, rejected, went lower, tested, rejected, went lower. Easy. So we didn't have an example of candle here, I guess, although I think we had. When we had this red candle on daily, it is obvious to me that we are going higher. Of course, we had the pullback, but then lower. He could also sell here, but no guarantees we could go a little bit higher here. But there are some better candles that are the signs. So let's stick to our third tool that is easy for us to understand the market reversal. It is our trend lines. Simple, very simple. Let's look at it. We hold this, how we should build these trend lines that will help us identify the reversal and even great opportunities for long or short. Let's look at it. We went fully parabolic. What we have here? We always have this global trend line that we build. It is built in places where the price on high time frames, it holds some line. You see, Ren was holding this line for a long time, holding, as if it took off, but then got back, retested it, took off from it. This was a fake parabolic rounding. We went back again, we retested it, proving that it is our trend line global. Holding, retesting it, and this is the place where we had a parabolic rounding, and we took off from this line. When we take off from that line for good, it is the place where we build another trend line. Let's get back to it. And how we build another trend line based on the spots where we touch a line a lot of times. Here it is. Look at this. This is our next trend line. We touched it 1, 2, 3, 4 times, held it, then took off from it. That's it. Came back and took off for good. That is where we can draw another line. It can be this one. Of course, we can draw a lot of lines and we can draw less lines, but they all are insightful for us. It can be like this or like this build. It is up to you to decide. They all work. For example, if the price would come here, losing it, it would know that we lost it. We have to sell here at least at $1. He should have sold here. It was the sign that we are losing this trend line. It was the sign. And then if he didn't fail to sell it, then we had recovery and retest of that line. And you see, we retested it, and all the time we rejected it. It was another sign that we have to sell here. That because we cannot resecure line. If we cannot resecure that trend line and go higher, then it is a sign that we are going lower. And of course, we could even draw on lower time frames another trend line here based on this. And you see how simple is that. Broke it, retested. Here is the spot where we could even enter a short, a long-term short. Retested, rejected. Easy. It is a sign that we are going much lower. It is easy. And you can even draw even higher, more, but on this time frame we cannot do this. Maybe on 4 hours time frame. And if you are scared that if you sell it all, and what if I sell it all and it goes higher and I will miss a lot of profit? Well, you have these trend lines. If we lost it and it resecures it, breaks, retests, finds the support, it is when you enter, rebuy this, and it goes higher. Then you hold it. If it loses it again, you sell immediately. Loses and closes below it, then you sell immediately. If it doesn't, if retested and went higher, then you hold until when you again, the price trades through and builds another zone where you build another trend line and you know where to bail out. It is completely easy as math, simple math, of course. That is it. So you see at the end you had a lot of signs where to sell. If you don't rely on the candles and other stuff, for example, you had this rejection, a sign to sell. This rejection, a sign to sell. Another, it was late already, but I guess it was better than holding until this time. And this price is where it came almost to your entry, and you lost everything, every profit you made. Imagine a guy bought 100,000 rand for $7,000, made it to 180,000 and didn't sell. Plus, I don't know how much rewards he earned. I am sure that he earned a lot of rewards in different assets here. Another guy came to me with his Theta holdings. He told me that he bought somewhere here, no, not here, somewhere 40-30 cents, I don't know. He held it for a long time. You see, we held what we have here. We have two trend lines, one more global at weekly. We held it, see, touched it, then took off for good. That's it. And you see how we obey these lines. The price came exactly to this line and finds it as its support. I even think that it is going to hold here. Maybe will break a little bit and then resecure again and goes back up. I don't know, but you see how this blue global genuine trend line holds. It is our point of control, and after the price took off from it for good, we drew another line, this one green, yes, as you see, and it holds perfectly too for us. Maybe it is not that good drawn. We have to, I should rebuild it. Okay, it's not that accurate. See, now it is more accurate, and we see where the resistance was. Double resistance here, you see? You could sell it here. Totally was the sign that we are not going higher and we are reversing down. But of course we want to buy or sell a lot higher. Then we have to find this lowest point, lowest touch, and build this one by the body of these lines. You see how precise it is. I should add a lot of bit, zoom in, yes. We are not at that touch. We have to change color first of all, I guess, to better identify between. See, closer to this candle, that touch, and we have a perfect catch of this trend line. You see, perfect resistance, perfect. This was, if you didn't sell here, this line, if this line didn't tell you, an obvious line didn't tell you to sell your bags, all your bags, then you could buy around here, sell it all here, and it was obvious and almost the same price here. So the top was $15. You could sell it for $13, $12 when you saw this rejection. Easy, guys, it is actually easy. Rejection, it didn't resecure that line, so we rejected and we are going lower. It is easy as 1, 2, 3. That was the best place to sell your bags and go back to sleep, or even short here, or wait for lower prices and rebuy at this, for example, trend line easily and catch all these bounces. If, of course, we could actually build another trend line here based on this touch where we take off and this line. And what we have here, look, I drew this in front of you, not plotting it or measuring it. Simple. We lost it, retested, had the fake out, then the next candle opens, tries to retest it, rejection. After this candle, absorbing candle, we know failing to break this counter trend line, we rejected. It is a bailout point. This is where you have to sell and wait. Where to rebuy? You know that at the global trend lines that last for a long time. It is actually easy, guys. So easy to find the place where you will sell your bags, your assets, holdings. If you bought at the very good spot somewhere here in the accumulation zone or even acceleration zone here when we're forming the rounding, if you had a good spot buy, you and used, for example, multiplicators, longing with margin of these assets or staking, whatever, you always have to sell, because if you don't sell, the price will always come to almost to your entry price, and you will have to spend 1 more year, 2 more years, 3 more years until it recovers back and goes, for example, first to your prices that you first reached and then for the new prices. But instead you could have took your profit here or here, wait for this, for example, not finding the bottom but coming to this line, buying somewhere here or below here, and you would in any way be better than you wouldn't sell it. You would have a lot of money to rebuy this asset and hold it for a longer term. And of course you could buy it at the very lowest, your global trend line. Of course the price always comes to this. So not talking about this, it was temporarily temporary bounces, but if you waited for the price to come back to this global trend line that is going almost from the beginning of this ascending move, you would be able to buy it here and you are safe here. What is better, to buy it for $3 to rebuy by the gains you made here, or to not to sell it here and get back down to it and start over and wasting several years? Just think about it. That is why it is easy to identify when to sell. You simply don't have to fall for all that fuss and noise you hear in the social media, in the news. You have to be smarter. You have to rely basically on the chart. The chart almost every time tells you the truth. It is hard to confuse it. Of course, sometimes it goes not according to the plan, but it always comes back to the plan. This is how I identified the Bitcoin reversal here. For example, if you look at this, we had this formation, and when we had this first candle close, I knew that we are going lower, but we recovered, and I knew that it is logical. Why? Because it is a distribution phase. We cannot go back down sharply immediately, because a lot of people worth hundreds of billions, hundreds of billions have to distribute their holdings, and you cannot do that in a matter of days or weeks. It takes weeks and months. So we drew this candle, and this opening of the new candle was telling me that it is going against the TA. It is not right, because after such candle we had to have either another candle. For example, it could go high here up and get absorbed and go lower here, but it didn't. Or it could go down immediately and get rebought again, but it didn't. It went straight up, and the next one also went up. But it was the sign for me that we will be holding this 60,000+ zone as resistance, because we had this candle. It showed me all I had to know, that because of it we couldn't go for another exploration of other ranges and zones. I knew that we will be back to it, but it was the matter of time until we distribute everything we had. And as you see, when we distributed everything, we had the same candle here, one, and the next one, leg 2. Always when we have this such red candle, we have another leg 2. The market maker refused to get us this candle then, but it postponed. It simply postponed this execution of this technical result that had to happen anyway. Simply postponed it. The same thing that I told you about Bitcoin here, like we told here in my first video ever, when I told you that we have 3 black crows here. That means that we are going lower. Of course, I said that it can be postponed by the market maker, and we did. 2 months we tried to draw something, some recovery or a new bull run, but then these 3 crows, they took into force, and we had one red candle, and depending on how we will close this monthly candle now on Bitcoin, we will identify somewhere what is going to be our next candle. I suspect it is going to be one that goes, for example, retest 44.45, for example, and goes lower to 30.29 at last. Because first of all, we have our global trend line here, and we of course have to counter there, maybe even lower, I don't know, because we holding this 38,000 zone very strongly. As you see, we holding it strongly. If you look at the volume profiles, this zone is full of orders. That is the most highly bought zone, where the people bought or sold, they placed their orders. If we lose it, we will fall sharply, I guess, because below it there are no orders, so we have to dump heavily and trade through that zone, because as we know, the gaps theory that I told you, that all the gaps, all the untraded zones have to be traded. So this is pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed it and understood it. If you have any questions, reach out to me in DMs and I will answer any of them. Thank you for your attention. Good luck, guys.